Shock Monkey Radio is entertainment for adults, by adults, and the views and opinions expressed here do not reflect upon the sponsors or FXBG Public Radio. For additional information, please refer to the United States Bill of Rights. Stand warned. So what's the deal with the guitar? Is it broken?
Guitar?
Yeah, the one you play for the intro every single week.
It's not, I can't, there's no input, there's no sound.
All right. Well, we got to take it over to Guitar Center, I guess. Come take a look at it again. Anyway. Well, it's a cold open. It's not nothing new. We're not the first to do it. So, don't make me jack slap you. I say, am I gonna have to come over there and jack slap you, son? You see, there's this bully when I was in the 80s, when I was in Georgia in the 80s. And in Georgia in the 80s, there were still people who talked like Foghorn Leghorn. When I first moved down there, I was like, oh, that's where it comes from. It comes from the deep south. I say, do I have to jack slap you? And there was this bully. His name was Brad. And he was bigger than everyone else. And he would always say, the threat was always, boy, I'm going to jack slap you. And, you know, I never found out exactly what a jack slap was. Never found out about it. But I was always wondering, I was like, what exactly is a jack slap? What exactly is it? Because you don't want to turn to people and say, hey, man, what the hell is a jack slap? And the guy goes, nerd over here doesn't know what a jack slap is. Probably because he doesn't know either. But he's not going to admit that he knows because I was just the first idiot to ask what the hell that even means. And so I never found out exactly what a jack slap was. I've never seen Brad perform a jack slap in action. You know what I mean? And so night after night that year of school, I'd go home and I'd wonder, it's like, what exactly is a jack slap? Is it some sort of, you know, special martial arts move? It's, I summon the power of the jack slap mudra. How do you want the field goals? And then no one has survived more than 2 jack slaps. I have deigned to let you live. And then I collapse, fatality. And I guarantee you that those fantasies I came up with in my head are cooler than the jack slap actually was. I'm not even going to go Google jack slap. I'm not even going to see what Urban Dictionary has to say about what a jack slap is, because it doesn't matter, because it's not as cool as what I imagined it to be. I guarantee you, because my imagination was better than that dude's bullying capabilities. All right. And that's what I love about myself. And so when it comes, it reminded me when I was thinking about these events in my past, you know, I was thinking about that movie High Fidelity. It's one of EK's favorites. I think you like that. Yeah. Yeah. And in High Fidelity, he said there's a scene where he's talking about how his girlfriend's living with Tim Robbins now and they're banging and he's, you know, it's his ex-girlfriend. He can't stop thinking about them having sex. That Ian guy, rings on his fingers. I get you, man. I'm right there with you, John Cusack. I hate that dude too. All right. But he's talking about when you imagine your ex-girlfriend having sex with a new guy, you know, no human has ever had sex as good as the sex your ex-girlfriend is having in your mind. And I think that's probably the lesson I learned from both the jack slap experience and the learning experience that is the great movie/book High Fidelity. Welcome to Shock Monkey Radio. Long cold open, but we're just going to start incrementally now. We're going to hit slowly accelerate up until the news worth knowing. We're just going to be like a crescendo, a jack slapping crescendo. That might be the title. I keep thinking about titles during the name of the show. Jack slapping crescendo. All right, so yeah, I want to remind you that I have a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron today. I would very much appreciate it. I also have Cash App, # shockmonkeyradio on Cash App, all one word. You can follow me on social media at DNALETSAW. That's the word wasteland spelled backwards on Twitter. And you might want to start using Twitter more, ladies and gentlemen. Shock Monkey Radio Redux on Facebook and at SLRobbins13 on Instagram. Please like and, you know, share and subscribe my videos. I'd appreciate that as well. That helps me be seen by more people. I've complained a lot about how YouTube algorithms stifle content like mine, and you know, that's fine. I think I still use their product. I still like their product, and so yeah, I would appreciate that. Also have books available. I'm a writer. I write books sometimes. I used to anyway. But you can find the links down in the description for my books. They're on Amazon for digital download. Search for the author Scott L. Robbins with 2 T's and 2 B's, and buy my books. I was in the shower the other day, and this phrase popped in my head. We're having the wake in the living room. Yeah, it's an intense phrase, but it's an English phrase, right? And it's probably something that has been said, especially towards like 50 years ago or more. That phrase would have been spoken aloud a whole lot more in those eras. And so I was thinking about how little sense that phrase makes. We're having the wake in the living room. All right, you get the narrative from that one sentence. Someone has passed away, you're having a wake, and you're going to do it in your house, in your living room. But wake, it doesn't imply anyone's being awoken. There's no waking up from death. All right, it's in the living room. So the living room is where we're going to put the dead person. And that's why sometimes I think English makes no sense. And it's the most common language spoken on earth in many ways. It's like even in air traffic, I think it's only English. When the air traffic controllers, it's like only English. Go America. It seriously is really the most confusing language ever devised by man. It's I think Eddie Izzard made that joke the original time about, the English language is based upon cheating at Scrabble. It's they're just adding extra letters and stuff like that. And then there's all these, extra, things that mean the reverse and stuff like that. We're having the wake in the living room is a horrible sentence, but it's got waking up. Waking up is a good thing. The living room, good thing. But you're talking about putting a dead person in there. It's so weird. It's so weird. And, people are like, these people come here from other countries and they're like, learn English. And you're like, it's like, do you know how hard English is? You're lucky. You're lucky if you grew up natively speaking it because you had no choice, And I spent 3 years in high school learning Spanish. And I'm like, these verbs are too hard. I've given up on Spanish. Verbs are too hard. I can't do tango, tanga, tangas, tangamos, tangan. That's too hard. Like our verbs aren't hard. And it's funny. It's like it's not even like a universal difficulty. It's like depending upon the word in the English language, there's different rules for the word. It's bizarre. Anyway, this is just the pleasant thoughts I think of in the shower. All right. Like I said, we're going to accelerate slowly before we get into the news. So Anakin Skywalker was the Anakin Lanza of the Jedi. When you can't candy coat this when you're talking about Darth Vader, when you're talking about Anakin Skywalker and what he did. Going into the Jedi Temple and killing younglings, as they say. What Anakin Skywalker did is he walked into a school with a very dangerous weapon and killed a bunch of kids. And so, you can't overlook that. I think that is, of all the, people give the episodes 1 through 3 a hard time. And it rightfully so, because there are parts of it that are kind of, and then, but when they're talking about the evil that Anakin Skywalker did, to make his transition from Anakin Skywalker to Darth Vader, it was horrific. It was horrifically evil, and I think that it was done in a way so that people could understand that the dark side, this path of anger and fear and aggression, that's how one leads to a path of violence and evil and stuff like that. And it's funny because it's the entire metaphor of the Jedi. Use your anger. That's the dark side of the Force. And then the good side of the Force is patience, wisdom, understanding, and stuff like that. It seems like the entire metaphor has been lost on an entire generation about that you want to be more like Obi-Wan Kenobi. a flawed character, to be sure. But Anakin Skywalker is basically what we would call a school shooter. And you can make excuses for Adam Lanza, or you can make excuses for Anakin Skywalker all you want. But the fact is that these are evil deeds, and these are evil deeds in every society. And I think it's funny that I think that whole metaphor has been lost on a lot of people. Anyway, let's think about Anakin Skywalker and reasons why I hate him. He kills kids. He kills kids. Anyway, huh? Not just kids. The littlest of the kids. Little Jedilings?
Younglings.
I know they called them younglings, but I would call them Jedilings. Jedilings? Little tiny. Forcelets? Forcelets. I like that. I didn't realize how dark today was going to be. Let's get into lighter topics, shall we? So I was thinking about this because I stopped watching like Hulu and stuff like that. And who wants to pay for that bull? Anyway, I was thinking about Letterkenny, and I don't know if you've seen that show Letterkenny, but it's fantastic. It really is quite good. And there's something that happens in the later seasons that it's like in one episode, and I want to talk about it a little bit because I think it's kind of an interesting interaction that happened between two people in the show, and I wanted to talk about it a little bit because there's this episode. It's during the hockey seasons or whatever like that, where they're playing hockey in almost every episode, and I don't care. They're all mic'd up. They're mic'd out, and stuff. And that's, Shorzy is kind of funny. I see why he gets his own show and all that, but But I hate hockey, don't really care. But there's this interaction between Tanis, who's this, I don't know, bad girl, kind of slutty bad girl who, kind of runs the reservation in many ways. And then there's this hockey guy, and they make this bet. They meet and they make this bet. And she's like, because I want your players to come onto our team. And so I bet you if we win this game, your players come to my team. And he says, well, what if I win? And she says, well, I'll give you a BJ. And when she offers this, he says, balls. And she lets it hang. All right. Weird interaction. Took a weird turn right there, didn't it? Normal conversation. All of a sudden, like, hey, if you win, I'll give you a BJ. Tanis crossed the line. But you know what? He didn't help matters when he added balls, the stipulation balls. Tanis did cross the line, but he was out of line by saying that as well. All right. She doesn't agree to the balls addendum.
What if he was saying that she had balls for making that offer?
No, I don't think that's what it meant. I think he was adding an addendum to a caveat to the deal. She didn't really agree to that second part of the deal, but a tentative bet was made. Okay? The show goes on, they play each other and stuff like that. It looks like he's going to win this bet. All right? They have another conversation. He says to her, look, I don't want that BJ. I want to take you on a proper date. And she squeals and hugs him. And she says, okay, but I only put out until the second date. And I really love that interaction between these two characters. It's the hockey guy, I forget his name. I think he's like named Danny or something. He looks like a Danny or maybe a Donnie. Anyway, so they had this interaction. I found it so interesting. Because, number one, she led with this sexual offer, and then he did the baller move of coming back to her and say, no, I don't want that. I want to take you on a date as a gentleman does a lady. That's a baller move. In respect to him for doing that. And when he did that, it made her respect herself enough to make him wait for at least one more date. You know what I'm saying? It made her respect herself more. And I think that's a very important thing for men to understand these days is that, if a woman doesn't respect herself, she may end up like Tanis, where she starts trading her love or her sexuality as a commodity. And it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be a commodity. It's too precious, And so that guy, after that first conversation where she made that bet, he was thinking to himself, he's like, well, she's probably thinking that, she's not going to make a win-lose deal. She's the kind of girl that make a win-win deal, and losing to me would still be a win deal. So it's kind of something she probably wants to do anyway. So I'm going to treat her right. I'm going to treat her right. I'm going to treat her like a lady, and maybe she could treat herself with a little bit more respect. And I think that's a very important thing for a lot of guys these days to understand, is that, you know, you should always be the gentleman. Even if she flips all her clothes off in front of you and locks the door. You know what I'm saying? You should still be the gentleman. I know. You think about Scarlett Johansson doing that to you, you feel like you can't resist. But I'm telling you, she will respect you more, and she'll respect herself more, and you'll respect each other more if you act like gentlemen and ladies until it's time for the dirty dicking. You know what I'm saying? Because there is a time for dirty dicking. All right? But what I'm saying is that, you know, treat some guys say treat a hoe like a queen and a queen like a hoe or something like that. These players say stuff like that. And it's like, no, treat them all like queens. Treat them all like they're ladies, like they're your best friend's daughter. You know? I'm using that as a metaphor. Don't actually date your best friend's daughter. Don't do that. What I'm saying is that, you know, you treat them with the respect a lady deserves, even if she doesn't respect herself that way. Anyway, I think that's important. It was something I was thinking about in the shower. You must think I shower like all day long with a notepad. And I put my phone in a Ziploc bag and just making notes in the shower. All right. So I want to get on one of these betting sites and find a way to bet on Jordan Peterson crying during an interview. I bet it's out there. It probably doesn't pay off very much because it happens so often. But I bet there's a thing where you could say, where it comes up is that Jordan Peterson's going to appear on Piers Morgan. Would you like to bet $10 he's going to cry? Yes, I would like to bet $10 that Jordan Peterson is going to cry. And guess what? He went on Piers Morgan's show and cried. And I dig that. I dig that about Jordan Peterson. I really do. You know, I think it's funny. I think it's hilarious because I get to say, look at this tough guy. Look at this tough guy always crying on TV. Makes me feel better about myself. But you know what's funny is that, you know, whenever he cries, every single time he cries, it's because of his compassion for his fellow humans. Humans.
Nerd, you like other people.
Nerd, you like other people, EK says. But that's the point. Jordan Peterson has compassion in him. And that's what drives him to cry. And that's why I love Jordan Peterson. You know, and there's people all over the internet, you know, who call him a monster for talking to this incel community. And it's not like he's going out there saying, hey, I'm talking directly to you incels out there. It's more like these incel men are attracted to what Jordan Peterson is saying because it makes sense. All right. It's not his fault who listens to or who watches his videos or listens to his podcasts. You know what I'm saying? You know, Dr. Peterson, you know, he cares so much, you know, and the whole thing they were talking about on Piers Morgan was these incel community. And even Piers Morgan was like these awful incels and they're just awful people. And Jordan Peterson's like, well, you know, I thought we should, you know, look out for the marginalized, you know. And he's right. He's 100% right because, you know, anything that would help these angry, entitled asshole men from being jerks who will just say balls and leave it at that. You know what I'm saying? You know, whatever helps them make their lives better, help them get over their anger, help them get over the rejections that they've faced in life and learn how to make themselves a more viable candidate for women. Whatever helps them. And that's Jordan Peterson's point. That's his point. Is that, you know, that's exactly what they need, is that they need a man on there telling them some of these great things. And here's just a couple things I've gleaned from listening to Jordan Peterson. Things like cleaning your room. Clean your room, he says to these guys. And cleaning your room means something like trying to apply order around your life, starting with your room. You know, once you get that in order, then you can start working on other rooms and it starts becoming a habit in everything you do in life. Seriously, this is the whole point of it. It's a building block. Cleaning your room is a building block. And rooms don't stay clean, by the way. So it becomes a constant update to constantly clean your room and keep order in your life. And that's the whole point. It's like, do I need this? Do I need to throw this away? Here's my alcoholism. Here's my, great creativity. It's like, do I really need this one? Do I really need this one? So, I mean, it's important for people to have like a very simple basic block idea. And so when it comes to cleaning your room, it's always made fun of in the media, but it's a very good point. Another thing he says is find the heaviest thing you could find and carry it. Lift the heaviest thing you can find and carry it. Something to that effect. And that's about challenging yourself. It's like it's putting your abilities to the test, because that's how we grow and grow as people. Adversity, challenge, and so forth like that. That makes us better people. And if you're playing World of Warcraft and you're only doing the gray quests, you're not going to get much experience. You know what I'm saying? You need to do the quests that are at your level. You need to do the quests that are slightly above or slightly below your level. You know what I'm saying? You nerds out there know what I'm talking about. That's the best way to earn the best experience and loot. Even World of Warcraft is set up that way because life is set up that way. If you're level 20 and you're doing a level 1 quest, how much do you expect to make? All right? That's the point. And one of the best things he's ever said is be the most reliable person at your father's funeral. I love this one. Because it's such an awful time for your family that, as a man, you need to be the rock, the pillar that your family can rely upon. As a human being, that you can grieve in private later. You can grieve with your family later and allow yourself to be weak in front of them later. But during the funeral, if somebody says, we need somebody to do this, it's like, I'll do that. Can you do this? I'll do that. Number one, it keeps you busy so you don't sit there, thinking a whole lot. And two, you do it for your family and your friends. You do it for the people around you so that this awful situation is far more palatable. I have nightmares of getting drunk at my dad's funeral and causing a big scene or something like that. And so it's very good advice he's giving to men. But because he's giving it to men, people attack him. But men need a leader, a figure like Jordan Peterson in their life, who feels enough for them that he's willing to cry in front of the entire world just thinking about the pain that you're in. And God bless him for that. God bless him for that. I make fun of him and stuff like that because I think it's funny that he cries. But you can't say that this guy is evil and trying to, tell these angry men or encourage these angry men to be angry when he's weeping for them on television. That's a man who has compassion, that he truly cares about the truly marginalized. God bless him for it. And and it also shows that it's okay for a man to cry. It's okay for a man to feel great compassion and not feel like, what are you, sissy or something like that? Because you care about other people? No. I'm a human being, and human beings have feelings. Sometimes we cry. Sometimes even I cry. Jordan Peterson cries. And it's okay if you cry, young men. It's okay. Don't get used to it. Don't be like blue-haired, multiple face piercing chicks in Walmart. I'm sorry. I was talking about such a great man, and I had to ruin it by being me. All right. I got one more thing to get in here before we get into the news. I do love you, liberals. I do love you. So, but the real question is, are you stupid or are you evil? I'm not trying to hurt your feelings. I'm guessing a large majority of you are just stupid. Stupid's the wrong word. Maybe uninformed, misinformed. However, I do think there's a certain percentage of liberals out there who know exactly what they're doing and are evil and are using it for their own nefarious or, selfish purposes. All right. Like Nancy Pelosi's stock trades. You know what I'm saying? So the question is, are you stupid or just evil? And if you're evil, I can't forgive you. I can't forgive you for being evil. But let's just say you're in the stupid camp, uninformed camp, not trying to hurt anyone's feelings. Let's take a couple issues. Let's take like the trans issue. First of all, this is not the new gay thing. Trans is not the new gay. I think once gays came out, I think all the legal sexuality got covered. I think all the bases are covered now. No need for that. So the trans is not the new gay. It's not like some 14-year-old kid is thinking, I think I might be gay. So some 14-year-old girl thinks she might be bisexual, starts making out with other girls when she's 16, and she's bisexual for 4 years, and then she ends up getting married, having kids, and, one of them ends up being trans. But what I'm saying is that, it's not the new thing, and it's not even the a thing that adults are doing, all right? Because they're doing this to children. All right, you understand, people under the age of 18, they're doing it to children. And people may make fun of Putin, but he said something recently that really, really resonated with me. And that was the United States is a satanic country, and they're conducting gender experiments on children. He is not wrong. He's a dick, and he's doing the wrong things, but he is not wrong about that. You're targeting children at their most vulnerable times in their lives, when they're in the womb or going through puberty. If somebody told me when I was going through puberty that we can give you these hormone blockers and we could just put a pause on this incredibly awkward and terrifying puberty you're going through, I would even fall for that. Because puberty is such a horrible time, but we all have to go through it. We all have to complete that process before we can be old enough to be consenting adults. So if you want to say that the trans issue, if you want to be 18 and chop off your body parts, go ahead. That's the libertarian argument. But I'm the conservative who says, I don't think anybody should be doing that. But I would agree with the libertarian argument is that if that's what you want to do and you're over 18, fine. Just go do it somewhere not near me. But I don't think anybody should be doing that. And if you can at least concede that you don't want children being given these hormone blockers and stuff like that, which are creating customers for life with the pharmaceutical industries, with all the surgeries they're going to need, all the medications they're going to need, all the hormones they're going to need. They're getting people lifelong customers by pushing this agenda and pushing it on when kids are most vulnerable in puberty. So you got to ask yourself, trans is not the new gay. It's a perversion. We need to stop it. So which side are you on? You on the stupid or evil side? Or are you on the right side like me? Let's talk about guns. You never needed a gun? You have lived your entire life without ever facing a violent crime? There's hundreds of millions of people in this country that can agree with that. There are hundreds of millions of people in this country who have never faced a violent crime, have never been in a situation where they could have possibly needed a gun. And the reason why that is because of the beauty of the Second Amendment. We've had generations of Americans growing up in this country without any need to carry a firearm. You know, in the Wild West, sure, everyone was carrying a firearm and people got a little drunk and a little loose with their bullets. But what I'm saying is that because of the Second Amendment, because you don't know who's packing and who's not, people tend to be more well-behaved in public, especially in public. You know, and if you can, and for generations, there could be people growing up as like never fired a gun, never used a gun, never needed a gun. That's all because of the beauty of the Second Amendment. Everywhere else in the world, you get knives pulled on you all the time. You know, it's crazy. But I mean, if you think that we don't need guns, number one, you don't understand the government. You don't understand, you trust the government too much. All right. And two, you know, there's wild pigs. There's gigantic wild pigs in this country. There are bobcats. I feel like that guy in Monty Python and the Holy Grail is like, it's got big teeth. It can leap. Look at the bones. You know? I feel like that guy because we need these weapons. You know what I'm saying? Anyone who's ever been cornered by a bobcat will tell you that. It's like, yes, I wish I had a gun. All I had was a Swiss Army knife. It was nightmarish. I slept in a tree. So, you know, let's be honest about what guns. They have led to this peaceful society that we have today, where you're so far removed from violent crime because of the Second Amendment that, you know, you've bred it into your mind that it's like, we don't need them at all. That's how safe behind the lines you are. You know what I'm saying? So which side do you fall on? Stupid, evil? The right side, like me? And this racism thing. Enough with the racism. You know, enough with it. You know, yeah, it's so old. You know, it's like, you know, when Candace Owens and Kanye West came out wearing the White Lives Matter shirts, great troll, by the way. Then all of a sudden, people started to see the racism. You know? It's like, oh, we're focusing on race. That's racist. And just like Black Lives Matter, you know, it's focused on race. You know, if you're doing things based upon race, that is racism. And when you're talking about equity, it's like we need to get the relief to these people in Florida based upon equity. Blow it out your racist ass. You know, get out of here. I'm sick of the racism. Now, here's one other thing about racism I want to, before I move on. When I went into the Navy, there was in boot camp, you ran into racists, okay? But there was a zero tolerance policy for racism of any kind in the military. It was like anything that came up that was even closely racial, within the vicinity of racism. And it's like, there's no white, there's no black anymore. You're all blue and gold through and through. It was things like that. You're no longer who you were. You are blue and gold through and through. And that's all that matters. And I thought it was I really loved it because, hey, that's how you beat racism. You know, we're all the same now because it's under the same flag, in the same ship. You know what I mean? And so I dig that about the military. And there were like white racists and stuff like that. And they were throwing N-bombs around. And that wasn't tolerated in the least, you know. Usually that stuff sort of got handled before they even came to the recruit division commander. But I get into an argument as a section leader with one of my guys in my section, and I have to go into the CB's office. The CB, he was a builder, first class, and real hard charging, big black dude. And he comes in. This other guy came in. Is like, he's only a section leader because he's white, and he's like. No, he's a section leader because his shit is squared away. He's a section leader because he's got the second highest scores in the entire division. That's why he's a section leader. All right? You're going to have to end up working for people like that, like Seaman Recruit Madman one day. Because people like that get promoted. People like you don't. So get used to it. I was like, damn. I was like, damn. And I love that. And I wish. And that was my ideal version of America, where BS wasn't tolerated. It was a true meritocracy. I don't care about the color of your skin. Can you iron your uniform? And that's all it was. You know what I'm saying? He just knows irons better because he's white. Get out of here with this nonsense. All right, let's go to talk about abortion for a second. I mentioned about it earlier, but it's killing a baby. Let's be honest. You know, and you want to sit there and argue that it's a clump of cells, but, you know, when they're talking about these very late-term abortions that they have been doing up in recent years, it's clearly killing a human life. It's clearly wrong, and it needs to stop. All right? You can think what you want about me, and you can think I hate women, or I'm trying to control your bodies, or whatever nonsense you're trying to pull, but that's not the case. All right. I don't understand why you don't feel like you have to be held accountable for your sexual activity. You know, I think that people should be held to account for the sexual activity. If some man impregnates you, I think you should be legally responsible to raise and keep that baby. I would even argue he should marry you. All right. I think I would, if I were a judge, I'd probably do that. Luckily, I didn't get into law. So what I'm saying is that I think you should be accountable for your sexual actions. And so I don't think that a baby needs to die so that you can, continue your life as the way as you have been. And people always want to bring up the rape thing. Okay, fine. All right. If somebody is raped, I don't see how the baby is the rapist. The baby didn't commit any crime. You want to argue about killing the rapist? Say you caught the rapist. What does he get? 15, 20 years? The baby he spawned gets life. Think about that. It's life. So if you're not evil, you're just stupid or misinformed or uninformed. And you need to become more informed. And you need to understand how your ignorance can end up resulting in evil. So you need to, start playing the game more. I know your life is busy. I know, it's sort of complicated. You got a lot of stuff going on. You can't look too long at the news sometimes. But, you need to consider these things about what's going on in our society and how, let that translate into how you vote. So I do love you liberals. Even you evil ones, I do love you as well. And I pray for you all to come to an understanding about that what you are doing is wrong. All right, let's go ahead and get to the news worth knowing. I just want to mention briefly before I get into the actual news stories. It has come to my attention that Alec Baldwin settled with Helena Hutchins' family out of court for an undisclosed sum today, and I think it just goes to show that if you have enough money, you don't have to be accountable to the law. That's why people are, fighting and killing over money. Anyway, let's talk about Elon Musk for these first two stories, because he's been making some headlines lately. So media is worried as Elon Musk closes deal to buy Twitter. Quote, be afraid, be actually afraid. Of Twitter? It's just like ones and zeros floating through the Wi-Fi, That's all it is. Anyway. Oh no, brain cancer. So, okay, let's hear. Members of the media renewed their anger against billionaire tech mogul Elon Musk, the elongated muskrat, on Tuesday after reports showed him closing his deal to officially buy Twitter. Fox Business reported Twitter intended to close the deal for Musk's $44 billion acquisition deal. He got it for $44. What a deal. $44 billion deal of the social media company at $54.20 a share. The original offer Musk made in April. Yikes. Because then the stocks go down. Did you see the fly? Anyway, the stocks went down, so he's got to pay like $54.20 a share. All right, so reporters and journalists, however, expressed doubts and even fears about Musk's purchase. NBC News reporter Ben Collins notably penned a lengthy Twitter thread describing how Musk's Twitter purchase could affect the 2022 midterm elections. For those of you asking, yes, I do think the site can and will change pretty dramatically if Musk gets full control over it. No, there's no immediate replacement. If it gets done early enough, based upon the people he is aligned with, yes, he can actually affect midterms, Collins wrote. Do you think these guys are all going to join Truth Social? Anyway, NPR editor Neela Banerjee retweeted the thread this morning. As usual, Ben Collins provides a useful thread on the broader implications for the rest of us of a Musk takeover of Twitter. Others also agreed with Collins on the risk posed by Musk purchasing Twitter. Be afraid. Be actually afraid. Former Politico magazine editor Garrett M. Graff wrote. Euronews correspondent Sean Murray tweeted, "The end of Twitter, as we know it, is nigh." Oh, my goodness.
Twitter ended 8 years ago.
I know. Twitter's over. It's been over. You know, it's literally the worst social media platform because of all the censorship and stuff like that. You know, and they're all scared because Elon Musk might make it not so totalitarian. That's really all it is like people are sitting there saying, like, oh, Elon Musk's like a right winger because he wants freedom of speech. You know, there's some people who I think they made a meme as like a Twitter, like changing the bird from blue to red. Once Twitter buys it, I think that meme came out when he first made the offer or something like that. And I don't think that's what he should do. I think he should make it purple, you know, because red and blue make purple. So I think he should make the Twitter bird purple. And yeah, it's like, and allow free speech on it again. You know, I think that could be cool. I think that'd be good for the world. It could revitalize and breathe life back into Twitter in many ways. But, you know, if all these whiny little crybabies who are mad that Elon Musk finally buying it, you know, because he kind of had to, you know, there's like, I think he was losing that court case. So he ended up saying, screw it, I'll just buy it and do something with it. So, I mean, yeah, I don't know what to tell you, you know. He kind of doesn't have a choice. So I don't know. You're going to complain about something he has no choice in the matter of? I don't know. All right, let's talk about this other headline he made. So Russia champions Elon Musk's peace proposal. Ukraine rejects Musk as two-faced. Oh, what if I just turn off the Starlink stuff? Huh? The Kremlin on Wednesday applauded Tesla CEO Elon Musk's suggestion that Ukraine could capitulate its territory illegally seized by Russia to end the war. It is very positive that somebody like Elon Musk is looking for a peaceful way out of this situation, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov told reporters according to Reuters. Okay. Quote, compared to many professional diplomats, Musk is still searching for ways to achieve peace. And achieving peace without fulfilling Russia's conditions is absolutely impossible. Yeah. That's why people were mad, because he did that, Elon. Anyway, he said that. Anyway, in a series of polls he posted on Twitter Monday, Musk suggested that Ukraine cede Crimea over to Russia and that the UN hold its own referenda in the 4 Ukrainian regions Russia has attempted to annex. Quote, this is highly likely to be the outcome in the end. Just a question of how many die before then, Musk said. Over 59%, you see the fly? It's around here. Over 59% of the 2 million poll takers appeared to disagree with Musk's proposals. Musk then posted a separate poll that questioned if the will of the people who live in the Donbass and Crimea should decide whether they're part of Russia or Ukraine. Kyiv has repeatedly said it will not cede land to Russian forces who have engaged in illegal and brutal war in Ukraine as Russian President Vladimir Putin looks to assert dominance over its southern neighbor. The UN also said it's illegal to hold forced referenda in occupied territory and therefore making last week's voting results void under international law. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky responded to Musk's proposal by posting his own poll on Twitter, which asked, which Elon Musk do you like more, the one who supports Ukraine or the one who supports Russia? Nearly 80% of the poll's more than 2.4 million takers threw their support behind Ukraine. Of course. The Kremlin spokesman on Tuesday reportedly alleged that bots were actively participating in the voting, though he provided no evidence to back his claim. You know, when the news broke about Elon Musk buying, deciding to buy Twitter, Twitter went into another panic. A lot of people lost followers and stuff like that. They're scrubbing all the bots out. They didn't know it was going to happen, so maybe we could start reintroducing these bots. And it's like, oh no, he's buying. It's like there's kind of a panic going on Twitter right now. It's awesome. It's kind of funny. Shake it up, man. Shake it up. All right, let's get off the topic of Elon Musk. These dang African Americans causing all this ruckus in my country. So, listen to this. Massachusetts colleges to enforce mask mandates indefinitely. Let me check the date on this. Published October 5th, 2022. I don't know. I think this is a time-traveling news story. This is supposed to be out like 3 years ago or something. Anyway, at least 3 Massachusetts colleges are choosing to enforce mask mandates indefinitely, and a 4th is considering the measure, according to the New York Post. Forgive me if I mispronounce these. Mount Holyoke College, Smith College, and Hampshire College have each announced the policy, despite some having prior plans to drop the mandates. Enforced mask mandates have largely disappeared across the country as the COVID-19 panic has waned. The 19 stands for the year, right? 2019? Anyway. So I guess we know which colleges the sheep go to. Quote, I am sorry to say that because of the relatively high confirmed COVID-19 case counts on campus, approximately 50 per week since the start of the semester, we will need to continue our indoor mask mandate until further notice. Mount Holyoke President Beverly Daniel Tatum wrote in a letter to the student body last month. While I'm eager to move us from a mask mandate to mask welcome and encourage policy in all campus indoor spaces, it is clear that the current levels of infections have taxed our campus healthcare system and residential services to the limit, she continued. Meanwhile, Amherst College has adopted classroom-by-classroom strategy, requiring professors to poll their students on whether masks should be required at the beginning of the semester, according to the Post. Ugh, lordy. If any one person responds that they would prefer masking, the entire class will be required to mask up. Oh, no. Read that sentence again. If any one person responds that they would prefer masking, the entire class will be required to mask up. That is absurd. That is absurd. I don't want to read the rest of this article. Let's talk about all these other colleges who want to do this. This is over. This has been over. It was been over a year before the president said it's over. What are you crazy people doing? It's 2022. It's the end of 2022. And if there's kids who haven't gotten it yet, they need to get it. They're just delaying the inevitable. That's why these kids are infected, because they haven't had their masks off at all in the last 3 years. Their immune systems are shot. You need a constant exposure to the dangerous stuff in the air in this world in order to remain healthy. You can't live your life in fear. Take off the damn masks, you idiots. All right, let's talk about this next one. So Coast Guard rescuer faces termination over vaccine mandate after team was praised by Biden for hurricane aid. He's dressed like Bruce Campbell in Burn Notice. Wearing like the Hawaiian shirt. He's the Coast Guard guy. You know why I'm laughing? Because that's how Coast Guard guys dress. Anyway, when they're not in uniform, that's exactly how they dress. Anyway, a Coast Guard hero is one of 20,000 service members facing termination in the coming months over a military's vaccine mandate, as each branch battles recruitment shortfalls. First-class rescue swimmer Chad Watson, who is among a team of first responders praised by President Biden for rescuing dozens in the aftermath of Hurricane Ian, joined Fox and Friends on Tuesday to discuss why he's pushing back against the mandate. Quote, it doesn't change the grounds and why we're refusing the vaccine in the first place, Watson told the Fox and Friends co-hosts. It's faith-based. We don't agree with how it was developed. We don't agree that it's also necessary. COVID seems to be very mild symptoms for us that are in excellent health, and given our job, we're required to be in excellent health. Watson, who is 2 years away from retirement, filed for religious exemption over the mandate. When that was denied, he said he filed for an appeal, and that was also denied shortly after. I'm sure there were people saying, why don't you just get the shot, Steve Ducey asked. Noting Watson was close to retirement. Quote, because my faith and my belief is more important than that, Watson responded. If I compromise that, I compromise everything I stand for. Hoorah. With thousands facing the same fate, Kilmeade asked Watson if the military can afford to lose so many service members at a time when each branch has struggled to recruit new faces and retain old ones. Watson said it cannot. Quote, they really can't, but I'll be okay, Weston said. Is it Weston or Watson? I'll make it happen. I'll provide for my family, but I would really like to keep this job. It's fantastic. Yeah, you shouldn't get rid of these people. All right. There's a direct impact on the people that we encounter that are in dire need of help, and we're all good at it, and we'd like to keep doing that, he continued. So, yeah, he was praised by President Biden, but they're still going to kick him out. It's insanity. This whole COVID thing has created this insanity, It's ridiculous. All right, we got two more stories here before we get into the show. I like to end on lighter topics. These are a little bit lighter, but they're not exactly happier or funny. So let's just go ahead and dive into them. Lake Erie fishing tournament ends in cheating controversy. You ready for this one? A fishing tournament on Lake Erie resulted in champions getting caught for cheating. Chase Chominski and Jake Runyon were caught stuffing their fish at the Lake Erie Walleye Trail in Ohio on Friday with lead weights, fish fillets, and other debris to take home a money prize for heaviest fish. The tournament ruled the duo as winners after a weigh-in, but a voice and video can be heard from the video event can be heard saying someone else's fish were larger than Kaminsky's and Runyon's, leading to a debate. Someone decided to cut open the winner's fish and found a weight, causing absolute mayhem. They then proceeded to cut all of their fish and found something stuffed inside to make almost every single one heavier. There's a video on it. Lots of F-bombs were dropped towards the cheaters, and someone threatened to call the police. The duo had been widely suspected of cheating in the past. It's rumored that they have won six figures in several tournaments, although the exact numbers are not clear. Fox News reached out to tournament director Jason Fisher for figures, but he has not responded. Your name's Fisher and you got involved? Anyway. So Fisher released a statement to the tournament's Facebook page on Saturday. Disgusted guys and gals, I'm sorry for letting you down for so long. I'm glad I caught a cheating taking place in your loot at the same time. I'm still at a loss for words, and for that I apologize. All loot anglers deserve better, and I will take time to figure out how I can solidify the integrity of our sport here on Erie. My Lord, could you imagine trying to stuff weights down a fish's mouth in order to win a fishing contest? You can't.
How do you even do that?
You hold the fish and you shove a.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I saw the video. How did they even force those weights into the fish's mouth?
You get a prod. You get a knife or something. Huh?
The fillet. How did they get the fillet?
The fillet's a knife. You just shove it in there. Yeah. First of all, it's incredibly cruel. Incredibly cruel to the fish. Crueler than it normally is to be fished. You know what I'm saying? It's bad enough you're going to be cut open just at the weigh-in for these cheaters to get caught. It's bad enough that's going to happen, but now you got to deal with this mouth rape as somebody shoves a fillet knife down your throat. Number one, it's unnecessarily cruel. Number two, you're cheating to win a fishing contest. I understand cash is on the line, but how dare you bring that kind of rottenness to the purity of fishing? And I think that's why a lot of people are real mad about this, because, fishing's about like serenity and living at peace with the world. That's why a lot of these anglers, they'll throw their fish back unless they're in some tournament or that, they're actually going to eat it. It's the same thing with hunters. They don't 99% of them don't hunt more than they need. So what I'm saying is that, it's a lot of people mad about this. And I understand why. But when you have like cash on the line for something like this, you're bound to have something like, some cheaters trying to scam. Scammers always scamming. when money's on the line. That's how it is. I had this conversation recently about like casinos. You know how when you played this like Sim City, you get a casino and you put the casino in, and like all of a sudden crimes rampant in your crimes rampant in your city because scammers always be scamming. You know. Anyway, all right, let's do its last story, then we're out of here. Aaron Judge 60-second home run. Fan jumps over the railing in failed attempt to catch ball worth millions. All right, you know, the Nationals obviously aren't, you know, they're ending today because they're awful. So I haven't talked much about baseball this year, but, you know, baseball is continuing. So let's go into this story. Aaron Judge's historic 60-second home run Tuesday came with a bit of fanfare, which included an eager fan jumping over the railing at Arlington, Texas's Globe Life Field in a vain effort to catch the prize ball. The unnamed fan missed out, however, while another was able to catch it by staying on the safe side of the railing. Corey Humans, a Texas Rangers fan, was helped out by security to keep him and his prize safe. He told reporters he hadn't thought about what he might do with the ball, because what are the chances I'm going to get it? Which could reportedly be worth millions. Memory Lane Auctions has already offered $2 million for the ball, Sports Illustrated reported. Jeepers. Judge's homer Tuesday was an all-time record for the American League and the seventh most in Major League history. The fan who scaled the railing was removed from the game for their unsafe actions, but was unhurt in the fall. Lucky SOB, according to the Dallas Morning News. And you can see the video. It's a bit of a fall. That's like 15 feet, maybe. Maybe like 12, 13 feet, maybe. Jackass. Anyway, Judge hit a 60-second home run of the season Tuesday night against the Rangers pitcher Jesus Tinoco, surpassing Roger Maris for the most home runs in a single season by an American League player. Three other players, Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, and Sammy Sosa, have hit at least 62 home runs in a season. But all of them are associated with the performance-enhancing drugs. These are not. Okay. Roger Maris Jr. called Judge a new clean home run king on Tuesday. His father, Roger Maris, hit a record 61 home runs in 1961. Judge, who is 30, is slated to become a free agent this offseason after he turned down an 8-year, $230.5 million offer from the Yankees before this season. And he's 30? You didn't take that? Well, I guess if he's hitting like this, I guess he can ask for more. My Lord, that's a ridiculous amount of money. All he's done since declining that offer has been one of the best offensive seasons in the game he has ever seen. Has become a frontrunner of the AL MVP award. And he's 30. You know me, I love baseball, so. But I'm not the kind of jackass who's going to jump out of the stands to catch a $2 million baseball. And not even get it. You know, not even get close to it. You know? I want it. I got bookies to pay off. Imagine that's a story of a Twilight Zone episode. Is this you got 24 hours to get me that 20 grand. My only chance is to go to that baseball game. I got to scalp a ticket for this baseball game and catch this late postseason ball, $2 million ball, or I'm dead. Guy who jumps from the railing, he gets murdered later that night, found in an alley in Arlington, Texas. I'm sorry. Ooh, very dark mood today, aren't you, man? Very dark mood. Well, it's better than being jack-slapped. Anyway, this is going to be the end of the show. I want to remind you again that I have a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron. I would appreciate that very much. I also have Cash App if you want to send me money that way. Use the hashtag shockmonkeyradio, all one word. That would be awesome. I would appreciate it. Please like, share, and subscribe my videos and stuff like that. Like I said, the algorithm is, doesn't like me. I don't blame them. A lot of people don't like me. Sometimes I don't like me. And so, that makes sense. So you can follow me on social media at Wasteland Backwards, which is DNALETSAW on Twitter. Shock Monkey Radio Redux on Facebook, and at SLRobbins13 on Instagram. You can also buy my books, which are available for digital download on Amazon.com. Search for the author Scott L. Robbins with 2 T's and 2 B's. I got the Ravings of a Madman book. I got the Bunny Years, a memoir. And I got the 3 Exit 13 books, so check them out. I would appreciate that as well. So yeah, this has been Shock Monkey Radio. I'm the Madman, and I love you.